So what I want to talk to you about today is how Big Drop as a business dealt with the COVID situation. And before we get into that, just want to give you a bit of background about myself and talk about my experience in a few different industries that may be relevant to the things we've been talking about today, and just give you a point of reference of where my experience comes from and how I've learned all these things over the years. So I was a graphic designer for 16 odd years. I started when I was about 20 years old at a couple of agencies, and then moved up to creative director and art director at a few different regional agencies. And then in 2012, I met one of the previous speakers this morning, Adrian, or around 2012, and we started InStyle, and we worked on that, and Adrian talked about that earlier, and that's a fantastic system, a fantastic product. And then in 2016, I had the opportunity of creating a beer company with a very old friend of mine who I played in bands with for years. He actually conducted my wedding ceremony to my wife way back many moons ago. And he had the idea of creating a alcohol-free beer company, completely dedicated to making nothing else but alcohol-free beer. And this was around 2016, and no one else was doing it at the time. You had a few different options out there. You had Beck's Blue, you had Bitburger Drive. You didn't have much else. So we thought we'd start a company around making, dedicated to making just alcohol-free beer. So we now have 4 core styles, one of which you'll see on the screen here, which is our Citra IPA. And you'll also see, if you go to our website, there's lots of other seasonal styles and different opportunities available. And they all taste like the full strength version of the brew. So if you like a mango-y, refreshing, fruity pale ale, then the Citra IPA is going to be for you. If you like a really dark, rich, chocolatey coffee note stout, then the Galactic Stout is going to be for you as well. So lots of different options out there. And in the last 4 years or so, we've won multiple beer awards all over the world. We've won against full strength competitors. So we enter into category. Originally, there didn't used to be a alcohol-free category. There used to be a kind of a novelty beer category, and there used to be the standard categories, and we'd enter into those, and we'd beat beers in full strength categories. So our Galactic Stout won against a 6.4 chocolate porter because they are tasting it based on balance and flavor, and they don't know what the ABV is. So we're currently in the process of launching in the USA and Australia, which has its own challenges at the moment, and we're actually filling into can this week in Australia. I also run a design and ideas consultancy. So from all my years of technology and building technology solutions, and also from a graphic design point of view, I help businesses work out how to bring technology into their business in the best way and the simplest way, because you want to be able to, if you want to enhance how you use business, or how you use technology in your business, and you don't have technical understanding, then I'll try and help you find the best way to make sure that technology works. What I'm here to talk about today, so I don't really want to talk about technology on the whole. I want to talk about how technology can help you, but I want to talk about being reactive and agile, and what that means and how it could possibly help your business, and also talk about how it helped my business as well. So one of the principles of design or digital marketing or technology or building new technology as a whole is you create something, you release it, you measure how that thing does, and then you improve that thing over time. So in an ideal world, if you're building something, you have a long period of time to be able to work out if something's working, and you can work out if that is doing well or if you need to improve it. In critical situations like we've got at the moment, you need to adapt or pivot quickly. You need to come up with an idea, you need to measure it, you need to change, you need to keep moving quite quickly. Part of that is getting rid of the things that don't work. So you dump the elements that don't work, you focus on the success, and you increase the resource that are dedicated to that thing over time. So perhaps you take that idea yourself, you work out if it works, and if it starts working, you can grow it, then you bring other people in. So that could be third parties, or that could be other people in your business. And part of the important process of taking something on and working with it quickly is you start with a small team or work as an individual, and then bring other people in over time. So you you could outsource it. Obviously, the larger the business, the harder it is to change course. So always the good analogy of that is if you're a big corporate business or a large structured company, you're more like a tanker, oil tanker ship. Very long time to kind of change course. Whereas if you're a smaller business, you can tack. You're in a smaller yacht. You can move around a lot quicker. But there shouldn't be an excuse within small businesses that you have a team that can work quickly and do that sort of thinking within your team. So what I'm talking about today is what we did at Big Drop and how COVID affected us and what we did to change things. So, as I said before, critical moments in business demand quick reactions. You need to think, how can I maneuver around this situation? The impending lockdown in March brought that very much into the fore for Big Drop. Obviously, we sell into pubs and bars. We're in a lot of pubs and bars all over the UK, and that was our big sales strategy for this year. That stopped almost overnight. We could see it coming in March, and we were trying to work out how to go about it. So the pubs we were in at that time were in All Bar One, Barworks pubs, Brewhouse and Kitchen, Miller and Carter, Pig Hotels, Hoxton Hotels, Young's, Fuller's, Patty and Bun, and many more independents just closed their doors overnight. That meant we really had nowhere to sell a lot of our beer. So we had to change things fast. We had to work out what we could do to shift our beer and find ways to get it into people's hands and into people's glasses. So we're not a tech first business. I'm from a tech background, but we very much rely on traditional brewing processes, traditional sales strategies. We have a sales team who are on foot, on the ground, going and seeing people, doing things the traditional kind of beer sales way. But technology can help. There's always a way. I feel that there's always a way that technology can help you do certain things and make things easier. So the challenge we had with Big Drop was we had to reach an audience who was stuck at home. No one was going out. No one was going into pubs and bars and drinking, and no one was going to restaurants and drinking our beer with their meals. So along with that, we had to create and maintain engagement. So we had to make sure that we could reach people, but we could also reach people and get them to come back, or that we could create a relationship with those people. And we had to find a way to get customers, get beer to customers at a time when none of our retail distributors were running at full tilt. They were on skeleton staff, so distribution and sales and delivery times were slow and unreliable. And the off-trade availability was limited because the independent retailers were closing. So the big supermarkets were open. We're in Waitrose, we're in Morrison's, we're in Ocado, we're in Sainsbury's from this week. But the smaller independents were on a forced lockdown, so we couldn't sell beer through them. So the plan we came up with, the first one was a point of sale approach, how we could sell our beer. So we wanted to do direct sales, and we'd never done it before. We'd always done it through distribution partners, and any new inquiries, we just went to a distribution partner and said, speak to them about getting set up. So Ebria, Matthew Clark, people like that, people would have to set an account up. We wanted to change that and do a direct customer approach. So we set up a Shopify store. Shopify is a very simple e-commerce platform. And we built it in 2 days and launched it and got it out there and just did something to get something out and start measuring things. So if you go to shop.bigdropbrew.com, you'll be able to see the store as it is now. And then we took some of our on-trade sales staff and moved them into a pick and pack operation, so they could be on hand to pack orders, any orders that came in. And obviously we didn't know at this point how many people were going to come and order from us because we'd never done it before. And then the other thing we did was retrieve stock from wholesalers who were shut down. So a lot of wholesalers weren't just on a skeleton staff, they'd actually completely shut up shop because they were purely distributing to on-trade pubs and bars and that sort of thing, and distribution stopped overnight. So we retrieved a lot of our stock from there. And the other thing we did was boost our stock and presence through the Amazon vendor platform. So we were selling some things on Amazon, but it wasn't a core strategy. But what we wanted to do is bring Amazon into the front and start having a presence on Amazon, so we had another way to fulfill sending product to customers. And then we had to create visibility. So having all of that there and not having a way to direct customers or drive awareness of the brand to new customers If you don't have this bit, then it's not really worth doing the other bit. So we came up with an idea of having a living room pub quiz and running it on YouTube and just seeing if people would join it. Again, it's about putting something out there, launching it quickly, measuring it, and then seeing if you can improve on it. So our YouTube channel had no subscribers, and the team amongst us had 0 live broadcasting experience. We'd done Zoom calls, we'd done Skype, we'd done FaceTime meetings and that sort of thing, but nothing out to YouTube or any live broadcast. I had a little bit of an idea of how to do it, but not a great deal. It was a very new area for me. But my webcam was quite good, and I thought, well, I'll step up and have a go at doing it, see how it goes. So week 1, absolute disaster. The software that I'd bought in to try and help me run the quiz fell over about 5 seconds before going live. The encryption key that I had for broadcasting my video onto YouTube expired, and I had to quickly rush around and work out how to revive what we were doing. So there's a shot of me on week 1 in the cabin, you can see here behind me, and my daughter in fits of hysterics while I'm trying to pull cables out of things and get things working. But people joined in and people played and people sort of enjoyed it, and it was a little bit disorganized and a bit chaotic, but we learned a lot from it, and it generated traffic to our store. Whether that was pity traffic of people feeling sorry for me because of how bad it had gone, or whether it was people who were genuinely interested in buying our product, it was probably 50-50, I don't know. But we learned a lot from it. So by week 3, I'd learned a lot more about what I needed to do. I'd measured what worked and got the software working. So we could have a proper branded setup. I could have questions on screen. I could have people chatting to me similar to how you're chatting in Zoom today. And I could also make sure that people could play at any time. So they could either play live or they could come back later and play the recorded version. So there was a lot I learned, and we measured and we iterated really quickly. So part of the measuring and the iteration and the changing things is that we knew that it was generating an audience. By about week 3, we were getting about 10,000 people a week, either taking part live or viewing after the live stream had gone out. It was getting strong media attention. We managed to get into Time Out, and we were in GQ. I was in the top 10 or cool things to do during lockdown, and that was between David Attenborough and Gary Barlow, I think, which is a weird position to be, let alone being in a list in GQ. And then we started thinking about what else would work. So this was working, and we could improve on that. But what were the other things that we could perhaps try and experiment with outside of what the pub quizzes were doing? So the first thing we did was living room pub gigs. So we reached out to recording artists and performers who also were suffering during lockdown, and gave them a platform through our YouTube channel to do live shows. So they set up their account. We used a piece of software called StreamYard, and they could broadcast directly onto our YouTube channel without any of them needing too much know-how. And we also did lockdown cook-alongs, which we had beer and food writer Melissa Cole helping out with. So from her home, every week we'd do a YouTube premiere where she'd do a cook-along, and she'd use one of our beers as part of the recipe. So again, that's just giving people more content to be able to absorb and using our product front and center throughout it. The thing we learned really quickly from both of those is that the pub quizzes really worked because people prefer to participate than have passive content that they're just kind of absorbing. People can get that sort of content from anywhere. So they can sit and watch Amazon Prime, they can watch Netflix, they can watch Disney Plus, they can view hundreds of thousands of hours of video on YouTube and just absorb it. And that doesn't give people any engagement. If you give them a way to engage, similarly to how Callan did in the last presentation, they're going to be more inclined to feel like they're taking part and give them a reason to come back at another time. So we dropped the idea with the pub gigs and the cook-alongs because they were kind of quite time intensive, and they also weren't generating the audience that we were getting from the pub quiz. So we focused on that, and then we started to improve the format and focus on social interaction. So we brought social rounds in. So if you go back and look at our videos that are on YouTube, every week we do a social round, and we'd ask people to, use the hashtag Living Room Pub Quiz on Instagram, on Twitter, on Facebook, and get them to take part in some way. So the first quiz, the first week, or the first or second week, we asked them to draw a picture of a can of Big Drop, and post it on social media. The second week, we asked them to put as many jumpers on as they could, and then take a photograph and put it on social media. And that was another way that we could generate awareness for the brand and generate awareness for what we were doing with the pub quizzes. And we'd also give a discount code away every week. So if people were coming back week to week, we'd give a discount code away and they could get a discount from our store. So we'd try and engage and convert people from playing the pub quiz. And then we started to ask people how they'd like us to do the quiz. So we said, what rounds would you like us to do? Go and vote on our Facebook page, go and vote on our Instagram stories. And again, it's giving people a reason to take part, and it's also drawing a larger audience in from their friends and their connections on the social networks. And the other thing we wanted to make sure that we were doing was creating content that had a lasting value. So creating topical content is great, but also try and create something that people can come back and get use from again. So we still get 1,000 odd views a week across our across the series of pub quizzes we did, because you can play them at any time. You can play along, and you can have 10 people in 10 different houses playing the pub quiz on a Zoom call or on a FaceTime or on a WhatsApp chat. They can press play at 10 different locations and still play along. So it's a great way of making sure that there's some longevity to the content. And the other important bit as well was making sure that we can increase store traffic as well. So doing the pub quiz is great, but generating revenue is the goal here. So one of the things we want to make sure that we do is, thank the frontline staff and the NHS for what an incredible job they were doing and they are doing throughout the crisis. So we gave a discount onto the store for them, which generated more traffic and more interest. But obviously there's a feel-good factor to that as well. And then we started to incentivize return customers with discount codes. So if people had bought from us once and they spent more than £30, we'd send them a 10% discount code to incentivize them to come back. And that's all around creating habits and creating return custom and making people feel that it's easy to buy from us. Same with the booking process. As Adrian was talking about earlier, it's got to be a seamless process, and there's got to be really engaging points where they can come back and buy again. We gave discount codes to the new subscribers to our mailing list. So if you go to bigdropbrew.com, you'll be asked if you want to sign up to our mailing list. If you do that, sometime later, we'll send you a little thank you and you'll get a 10% discount code. So it's another great way to start engaging new customers through email marketing and different channels. And the other important thing about the online presence is reviews. There's the dreaded TripAdvisor, which we, in our business, we don't have to worry about too much. But Google reviews, Amazon reviews is a really important thing for our business. And for an accommodation business, Google reviews is still very relevant as well. So if you've got an accommodation business or a tourism destination, focus on getting the Google reviews up as well, because that's going to help your search results. So we incentivized customers to go and give us a review and gave them a discount code as soon as they could prove they left a review for us. And then we were doing things which kind of covers some of the things that Nathan was talking about earlier through paid search strategy with Google Shopping. So we were paying to be placed in Google Shopping and making sure that people could see our product. It looked really nice. The right messaging was there as well. Okay, so the results, which is probably the important thing, was the important thing for us. It went quite well. So the Living Room Pub Quiz, over the 10 weeks, we had 107,000 views. It's probably gone up a little more since then. But the total number of views, we had 107,000 people taking part in some way, which resulted in about 950 days of total view time, which if you're a massive YouTube channel is quite small, but from a standing start for our very small channel is great. And we got 2,200 subscribers, and that's gone up again, I think, in the last week or so. But that means we've got an audience that we can re-engage with at some time if we want to. Obviously, YouTube channels can kind of will drop down in the rankings if you're not constantly engaging, but having that 2,200 subscriber starting point is great for us for any new product launches, that sort of thing we want to do. And then the Big Drop Shop, which is the means to the ends, really. So the conversion rate on the Big Drop Shop was around 9.5%. So anyone that came to the shop, almost if 100 people came to the shop, almost 10 people would buy something, which is fantastic. That's a really good conversion rate. I think my standard kind of bar for conversion rates is about 3% for e-commerce if you're doing well. So 9.5% is fantastic. And customers would come back. So about 30% of the customers that bought from us once would buy from us a second time or a third time or a fourth time. And it's maintaining that relationship and finding ways to re-engage with those people every time. And in May, our revenue was, we did just over £40,000 in sales revenue through the Big Drop shop, which is a fantastic way to bring where the revenue we're making from the pubs and bars and the restaurants and find a different way of making that revenue. So that's fantastic. We're going to carry on doing that. And then the Amazon weekly stock order, they're placing orders for about £8,000 to £10,000 worth of stock a week as well, which is fantastic. That's grown a considerable amount. So what do we do next? What's the next thing that we want to do to make sure that we keep this momentum going? We'll continue with the online strategy. It works really well. We know we can keep growing it. So we're going to start recruiting a e-commerce manager. We're going to adapt the store to support wholesale rates. We launched that earlier this week. So wholesale customers can go in and order direct from us based on a minimum order quantity. And we can start to support that and grow that as the off-trade and the on-trade sector opens back up. Continue down traditional routes. So we won't just rely on a digital strategy. It's all about blending it. And we're now available in Waitrose, Sainsbury's, and we're also available in Nando's in the UK as well. So around 200 odd Nando's restaurants will stock Big Drop. So if you're doing a drive-by collection or you've got a Deliveroo, you'll be able to order a Big Drop Pale Ale as part of your order. And then we want to extend our reliance on SaaS, which is software as a service, and custom digital tools. And as we go into new markets, that's really going to help us keep in touch with customers and segment customers as well. So we're launching in Australia in the next few weeks, and we're launching in the USA at the end of this year as well. We want to make sure that we use digital to leverage our relationships all over the world. And then we want to make sure that we're supporting our existing markets as well. So we're available in Scandinavia, the Netherlands, Canada, Singapore, Hong Kong, and we want to create direct sales channels for them as well, so we can reach the consumer direct through those different channels. So that's the story. That's where we're up to. And if you'd like to try the beer and you've not tried the beer before, or if you have and you'd like to treat yourself, now's your chance. So if you go to shop.bigdropbrew.com, there's a 20% off discount for anyone that's watching with a tourism and tech code. If you use that, you'll get 20% off your first order and order whatever you like. I recommend the Poolside, which is amazing special edition beer we've brought out. And the Citra IPA is my favorite. If you like the darker beers, try the stout. Absolutely. Terms apply. One use per customer, expires at the end of this month. And that's it from me. Thank you very much.